Oh, sorry about that. Oh, too much pre-workout. It makes me. Oh. So anyway, we were talking about ring attire, and our first ring attire.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was always kind of dead set on trunks, as I say, because I wanted to match my creator wrestler, but I also kind of felt like I didn't want to hide anything. I didn't want to hide my physique. I didn't want to feel like, because a lot of guys, if they're not comfortable with their physique, they'll wear a singlet to try and hide it as much as possible or whatever.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to feel like I was, trying to hide. I felt like if I'm going to be a professional wrestler, then I need to look physically good enough to look good enough in trunks. That makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a hurdle I needed to get myself over. Because I wasn't, no man is comfortable, performing in front of an audience wearing only essentially their boxer shorts. And this is what we do. So I was like, no, you need to get over it and throw yourself in and wear the most revealing outfit you can. And
Yeah.
if you don't feel confident in it, then clearly, you haven't worked hard enough in the gym. So get yourself, I was like, I need to get myself in the gym as much as possible in order for me to get over that hurdle.
What about tanning?
Oh, tanning was, that was the first time I also went tanning ever.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got the choice of fake tan or the sunbeds, or spray tan, or rub-on tan.
Actual tan.
Yeah.
Or sitting outside in the sun.
Yeah. And I went for the tanning beds, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get reasonably tanned for my debut because I want to look as good as possible for my debut. But then I'm not going to make using a tanning bed a regular thing because it is god awful for your skin health. It's it feels like going into a coffin that's been set on fire.
Does it? I've never been.
Oh, have you never been tanning? Okay, yeah. Well, that's essentially what it feels like. If you're claustrophobic, it's the worst thing ever because you're literally. It's like what's one of those machines that they use to scan the insides of you? MRI machines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially like that. You can either have lie down ones or stand up ones.
Yeah.
And you're essentially in there, and it's blindingly bright light all around you, and immense heat as well. So, like I say, it's a coffin that's been set on fire.
No, thank you.
It's not an enjoyable experience whatsoever, and you've got to stand there for probably pretty much if you want any sort of decent effect, at least 8 to 10 minutes. And it's like some people enjoy it. I don't know how people enjoy that. I'm not claustrophobic, but I'd rather not be in a tiny enclosed space for a large amount of time. And being sprayed with radiation. But yeah, I went a bunch of times in order to get my tan up for my debut. As I say, I wanted to look as good as possible. But there are alternatives with spray tan and you say rub-on tan. But I was always worried that would stain the ring.
Yep.
And the last thing I wanted to do as a rookie is annoy the promoter by making the ring a delightful stain of brownish orange from where I've been bumping. So I went with the tanning beds. How about you?
Okay. So I always thought, I'm a heel. If I look as pale as possible, that will make it easy for people to boo me. Because the better I look,
they can yell at you. Hey, pasty.
Yeah. So when I turn up to my first thing, I get moaned at for not tanning. And I was like, but I'm a heel. I thought this and that. And they went, no, you need to look as good as possible.
And I was again, surely that makes everybody look the same.
Yeah. So, and also I heard the story about Sheamus never tanned because if he took a chop, it would show more.
Oh, yeah.
And when I did...
example of that is William Regal. William Regal was always pasty. And my goodness, after a match, it looked like his chest was, it looked like he
Yeah.
was beating. It was
There's
brilliant.
a photo of me after my first Survivor Series match where my back is all red from the ropes and the turnbuckle and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes it seem more like if a person sees that, they're going to see this as being more real.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which will only help it.
100% agree with that. You want to look afterwards like you've been in a fight, like not like you've walked off of the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So did that. So I've never really tanned until last year, where I started on my lunch break, because I work in Bournemouth by the beach. I just go out to the beach for 40 minutes and tan.
Yeah.
But there was a show where we turned up and we're all getting changed. It's like 2 hours before we're supposed to go out. So it's like maybe an hour before doors are opening.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just in the changing room getting ready and that. And someone sprayed my back with fake tan.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, you've already started. Now you're going to have to do the rest of you, because it'll look weird if your back's only tanned.
Yeah, it would.
And I was like, oh, no. So they rubbed it on and I hated the smell of it. I hated the feel of it. I felt that everything I wore afterwards was sticking to me. And I was like, I get it. If you're a baby face and you're trying to look as good as you can, yeah, great. But I'm a heel who's trying to be better. Like, my gimmick is I think I'm the greatest, but I'm not. If I look as bad as possible while looking good, if that makes sense, truly that's going to add to the stuff that, like you say,
makes you look delusional, and the crowd are going to pick up on that. Exactly.
The crowd are going to be able to react to things like that. Like, if they go, you're pasty, I could be like, so's your face, and things like that. While as if I come out looking like Randy Orton, what are people going to yell at me? You're looking very attractive. No, it's not the same.
I mean, yeah, you can have like a pretty boy heel, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, but like Ziggler was the last good one, was he?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who's a handsome wrestler at the moment, and are they a heel? Is MJF handsome?
He's got a great body.
I have to ask the girls, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, tanning's it's a difficult one, because I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, if you're a guy, it does generally make you look better if you've got a good tan, and it definitely brings out your definition. I mean, that's why bodybuilders do ridiculously dark tans before bodybuilding shows. It's to bring out the definition, and so you can see the lines in their physique. For me, I swear it makes me look more vascular. I have no idea why it would bring out the veins in me. But it seems to. So yeah, tanning is my painful thing that I feel like I have to do, but I really shouldn't. And I try and keep it to a minimum. Like, I know if I've got a show coming up, all right, I'll do 2 weeks of tanning, and I'll go, 2 or 3 times a week and then gradually build up. Like, I'll start with like 6 minutes and then do like 8 minutes the next time.
Yeah.
And gradually build up my tan. And I like to think that that's maybe safer than sitting outside in the sun, if we're lucky enough to get sun in this country.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, knowing what's the healthiest for your body and all that, I find really hard. Like, because
I can control the intensity as well on a tanning machine, and I can control the time exactly. I don't know how intense the sun is on a particular day. I guess I could check the UV levels on the weather website, but it's not. I would say it's not as controllable as using a tanning bed. But it's a difficult thing to balance.
How to get a healthy glow without UV tanning? Nope. Is there a safe way to get a natural suntan?
No, that's like that. You can minimize the risk, but essentially, it is still UV radiation, and that will give you cancer.
Yeah. Eat foods that contain beta carotene, like carrots, sweet potatoes, and kale.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
More research is needed, but some studies show that this helps to reduce sun sensitivity. Okay. Try using oils that you occur naturally. Don't stay outside for longer than your skin. What? Okay, so
It's
don't
that
stand outside longer than 2 to 3 hours.
injectable chemical as well that can tan you.
Eat tomatoes, guava,
Melanotan, I think is what it's called.
melanin.
Might be that. Here you go. Melanotan increases the levels of the pigment melanin in the skin.
Okay.
This pigment is part of the body's natural response to the sun. But of course, that's got a whole bunch of its own risks attached to it. And I don't think it's actually legal.
Oh.
Yeah, here we go. On the HS, melanotan is not legal. So I'm guessing it does have quite a few risks to it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wouldn't suggest going down that route of tanning yourself. So yeah, there really isn't a great way to tan yourself. I'd say spray tan is the safest way.
But even then, you're like covering your skin in chemicals. That can't be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's no real safe way around it, I suppose. It's a risky part of being a wrestler, and as I say, I try and minimize that risk as much as possible by I haven't tanned since our last show because I'd be like, what's the point?
Yep.
So yeah, I've probably have speeded up the aging of my skin by using tanning beds. I just hope I haven't done it too much, but again,
no, I don't think you have,
price you gotta pay. And like if somebody told me like, oh, you have to risk a 1% chance of skin cancer to potentially, increase the potential of you being a successful wrestler, I'd be like, okay, that's a risk I begrudgingly take, but I'll take that risk.
You have so I went for an X-ray not too long ago, and when I was getting that done, they were like, oh, by the way, there's new laws that they have to tell me all the risks that are there now. Like before, it used to be just say I'm going to have an X-ray and it's done.
Oh my god! So they have to read out like one of those disclaimers on an American drug advert where they're like, "This can cause such and such, such and such."
Pretty much.
Wow.
But they put me in a room and they were like, "Oh, read this, do this sort of thing." And in there was a poster that had all the links. So it was like, "Oh, you get this much radiation from an X-ray machine. That is the equivalent to being in a plane in the air for 6 hours, because apparently getting on a flight, you're exposing yourself to as much radiation as you would from an X-ray.
Wow.
So getting on a flight can give you cancer.
You'd think the pilots would be super high in getting cancer then.
Well, that, and they're like, oh, if you step barefoot on the ground for 12 hours, you're absorbing radiation from the planet, because the planet has its own radiation.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, so even if it's like 1%, that doesn't mean that you will definitely get cancer if you fly 100 times. No. That just means that every time in those 100 times, you have a 1% chance.
You're just upping your odds very, 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 very slightly.
Very slightly, yeah. It's still 1% every time. But so yeah, I think maybe with the whole tanning thing, like part of me does think maybe I should just do fake tan and just look yellow all the time, like that weird orangey yellow that you see.
I hate that. Yeah, that's the other thing I was like kind of hesitant to do fake tan is I don't want it to look silly either. So
yes, I remember there was an interview of Brian Myers, and he was talking about when they switched to HD in WWE, they had to do a presentation. And they had to show examples of how people looked when in standard definition and when they looked like in HD.
Mm.
And it was Mr. Kennedy because they all hate him at the time. And they're like, look how awful his fake tan is. You can see all these brown beads sliding down him. That's his fake tan.
That makes me wonder, like, in the Attitude Era, when we were looking at, like, The Rock and how great his physique was, what it actually looked like in, like, high definition.
Yeah.
It probably didn't look that great.
What color was the canvas then? Was it black or was it white?
I want to say it's white during the Attitude Era.
I know there's one Rumble where The Miz is out in number 2, and the first thing that happens is he takes a clothesline and leaves a giant orange body print in the ring.
Yeah, the Miz is renowned for having like really bad fake tan that comes off in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the Attitude Era, they had a white mat.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is. That's probably got to do with something with lighting and how it looks. It looks better.
Yeah, must be, but yeah. There's a lot that goes on in wrestling apart from just training and wrestling.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, I want to ask you, what would be your ideal, would you think in wrestling has the ideal physique as a wrestler? And I'm sure I've asked you this question before.
It's hard for me to pick just one, but Drew McIntyre's up there. So
like this isn't necessarily what you want to look like, but you think at the moment is the best representation as a wrestler.
Kota Ibushi looks damn good. So the first ones that come to mind are Kota Ibushi, Drew McIntyre, Kenny Omega, Randy Orton.
Yeah, and that's quite a wide spectrum of body types as well. I mean, Ibushi is very, very, very lean, and almost say the same with Randy Orton, whereas McIntyre is, well, he's lean, but he's very thick set as well.
Yeah,
more of a powerhouse look. I mean, he used to like in his first run in WWE, looked more like Kota Ibushi.
I think what I'm impressed with Kota Ibushi is because I've followed his career since like 2010. I've seen him go from like junior heavyweight under 100 kilos to what he is now, and that's really.
Because I would have said, oh, he's under 100 kilos now.
No, he's a heavyweight. He's over 100.
Wow.
Yeah, because in Japan they actually have weight categories. So yeah, I don't know what his actual weight is now because they don't announce. I don't think so. But yeah.
Do you think that's something Western wrestling would benefit from, is having weight categories?
It might help bring in those UFC fans if they feel like there's a bit of legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel like that would be very limiting to wrestling. Like you wouldn't be able to have your like Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar then, and that would.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a match to miss out on. I think maybe a promotion could do it, but I wouldn't want to see it across the board.
Yeah.
Like if that was a promotion's kind of like gimmick and style or angle separate itself from other wrestling promotions, is that they are quite serious and they have, weight categories and quite serious rules, almost like kind of trending towards MMA. That would be kind of cool, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to see it across the board.
No, it is kind of hard to sort of do that sort of thing. So who would you say is your like ideal wrestling physique?
See, well, at the moment, first thing I want to go to is Brian Cage.
It's because he's your buddy now, isn't it?
Yeah, he gave me a little bit of praise on Twitter. Love it.
Yeah,
it's the second time he's done that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll take me under his wing, and I'll be. Like,
yeah, you can be in Team Taz.
Yeah. Oh God, man, that'd be awesome. Being Team Taz, and I'd look so tall standing next to Taz as well. Look like a giant. No, Brian Cage is like obviously he looks like basically a superhero. He looks like.
He looks like a comic book character.
Yeah, I was going to say he looks like Wolverine, but he actually looks more jacked than Wolverine in any comic book or film. Yeah, he looks like a freak. But of course, he's able to move around the ring. But
yes,
how many people can you say wrestlers have ever wrestled that look like Brian Cage and can move like Brian Cage?
Yeah,
Zero.
He is like his PWG matches are so good. Like he is unbelievably good.
So, yeah, it's kind of unfair to say, oh, Brian Cage has got the ideal physique because he looks great and can move great. And that's where, for me, where the perfect balance is looking good, but also being capable of doing pretty much anything in the ring. So I guess Brock Lesnar would almost fall into that category as well, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can do a shooting star press. I know he messed up at WrestleMania, but
He's done it so many other times.
he's nailed it like every other time he's attempted it. So,
as much as we praise these physiques, we have to go back to the point, I think, of that these physiques are great when they're the few.
Yeah, if everybody was like that, it would be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there'd be no variety at all.
No. So yeah, what have we learned from this?
Be a freak, essentially. Okay, well, there's the other thing I want to ask you is what's your goals at the moment when it comes to your current physique?
I just want to have a photo of me that I can be proud of. Essentially, like we are so fortunate to have James Musselwhite do our photography for shoots.
Oh, he makes everybody look amazing.
But yeah, and I just wish that I could have a photo where I could look at my body and just go, that's cool. I'm happy with that. But at the moment, every time I do it, I just look and I just think, ugh, I could look better. So that's what I want.
But I hate to break this to you, but that is like people are like, oh man, if only like people told me, oh, if I looked like you, I'd be happy. I'd be like, yep. And I always say, because it never ends. I've never ever been satisfied with how I looked. And it's a double-edged sword because it keeps me motivated. It makes me want to push myself harder and look better and get bigger and stronger and leaner. But at the same time, it's crushing because I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, it's not enough. I need to be more than this. I need to be better. And yeah, it's both motivating and crushing at the same time. And I don't think anyone who wants to achieve great things or make it to the top is ever really satisfied with what they currently have. They always want to push themselves to that next level.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a double-edged sword. But so yeah, I hate to break it to you, but you're you're never gonna be satisfied.
No.
That picture, you'll saying that there's pictures that I'm happy with and that I like how I look in them.
Yeah.
And I've like as you say, after James Musselwhite shoots, I'm like, wow, that's an awesome picture. I can look back on that and be proud. Like when I'm 60, 70, and I'll be like, hey, look at me as a youngster. I'll always be happy with it. But also look at it right now.
When I see his photos, I always go, he's taking great photos. Shame it's me that's in them. I was like, if that's Benjamin Black in that photo, it'll look way better.
The thing is, like, you say that as well, but I've also, like, because James takes like loads and loads and loads of photos, doesn't he? And then he gives you like, okay, pick your favorites up. He gives you like the whole 30. Photo reel and like pick your favorite ones out of that. And even then, like, there's some pictures on that 30 where I don't look good at all. Whether it's just the lighting or the way I'm posed or just the angle or whatever. I'm like, oh god, that looks terrible. What was I thinking there? Like, I don't look lean at all. I don't look big at all.
Yeah.
And then like literally another 2 photos along, I'm like, wow, I look great there. Like, it's literally like 4 seconds separation from each other.
Yeah.
So as you say, like lighting and posing and flexing and having a good pump makes all the difference in the world. There's plenty of those on Reddit where they do the Instagram reality pictures where essentially like the photos are mere seconds apart. But they, you know, like the guy will like push his stomach out and change the lighting and he'll look terrible. And then he'll flex and change the lighting and get a good pump and it looks great. And it looks like, you know, a year's worth of progress and it's literally taken seconds apart from each other. So yeah. Photos are deceptive. Is my point there.
So your goal, do you have goals
Oh yeah, I've got goals. Just to put on more size, more mass. Because one of the things Andy said to me in training is, you've got muscles, but you're not a huge guy. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So my priority is definitely to be that huge guy. Obviously, I can't change my height, but I like to think that a decent amount of muscle mass kind of gives the image of being huge when you're in the ring. Because I always remember back when I was training with Varsity Pro Wrestling, and I'm going to forget his name now, because he had a really generic name. I'm not sure if he still wrestles. I want to say it's Chris Andrews, maybe Steve Andrews. Yeah, Chris Andrews. He was one of the most jacked wrestlers there, and I remember being at they used to do autograph signings at Tesco's. So I was helping out with that, and we finished up and we were walking back to the car. I was like, man, this Chris Andrews is huge, man. He's absolutely jacked. He's massive. And I was walking behind him and I realized I'm actually probably an inch or two taller than him. And so that really made me realize, like, putting on a decent amount of muscle mass does give you the impression of being slightly taller. I mean, obviously there's limits, but so yeah, essentially my goal is to put on as much mass as possible. The problem I've always found with putting on weight is not just the amount I have to eat to really permanently gain size, is that I feel when you're a wrestler, you don't really have the opportunity to put on a massive amount of weight, because you're always going to have a match where you're always going to be on display to people in your trunks. So if you gain a little bit of a belly, it's almost like bodybuilders have off seasons where they gain most of their mass, and obviously they gain a bit of fat at the same time. But that's fine, because they're not going on a bodybuilding stage and showing off their physique. Whereas you're a wrestler, you're constantly showing off your physique, so you don't really feel like you can gain a lot of weight very suddenly and put on any amount of fat. You feel like you've got to get very gradually lean mass as gradually as possible, rather than put on a huge amount of mass that is part muscle and part fat. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
No, I get it. It's like if you're building like a statue, like you got to put clay on and then sculpt around it.
Yeah, perfect example.
Yeah, you can't just have it there looking great. Yeah, you need to put stuff on, then sculpt it. God, I'm just knocking these
analogies out the window. But with wrestling, you're you've always got a match like in the next month or something. So you're like, you can't really put on that huge amount of clay because I've got to go out and be in trunks all the time. So that's like the progress picture I posted was over 2018 to 2020, so 2 years. And I've only gained 10 to 12 pounds, maybe 13. Over 2 years is not much at all. I mean, you can gain, I've gained like 16 pounds overnight. But, you can gain that kind of weight in 3 months, 4 months. So my progress has been very, very slow, because I feel like I never can put on a large amount of size in a very short window, because I'm always having to, keep in mind that I'm going to be in wrestling trunks in the next few weeks or months or whatever. So, that's the challenge for me.
Yeah, it's a constant challenge as well.
Yeah,
you can't. Yeah, it will never end.
But as you say, that's the double-edged sword, and that's what keeps you motivated and what keeps you going.
Yeah. Are we wrapping up now, are we?
Unless there's anything else you want to touch on with regards to, I mean, I don't want to go into workouts.
No, that would be
for like that's a whole other episode.
And I don't think I'm qualified enough for that.
And oh no, the other thing I was going to say is for any trainees listening, what do you think is a good place to start? Because I always get questions on my Instagram about, oh, how much cardio should I do, or I don't think I'm big enough, or I want, like they always say, oh yeah, I really want to get into wrestling training, but I want to get bigger first, or I want to get jacked first.
The sooner you start working out, the sooner your body gets acclimated to it.
Yep.
Like it took my body a while before it was like, oh, I can get bigger again and I can start growing. So I say just, if you're scared of going to the gym, find a 24-hour gym and go late because there'll be no one there, and then you can practice on all the machines and lift weights and you won't be embarrassed. That's how I started.
Yeah, perfect.
And yeah, like don't be afraid to start slow and build up as well. Some people are like, oh, but this guy lifts 100 kilos. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure he must have started on 50.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bigger fish. Like,
yeah,
Brock Lesnar was probably benching like 300 pounds when he was 15. Like, does that mean, oh, I can't go to the gym? Brock Lesnar's benching for 300 pounds when he's 15. Why even start? No, like, there's always going to be bigger fish. Like, if you compare yourself to other people, then you're never going to be happy. You're never even going to start. So,
exactly.
Yeah, don't have analysis paralysis is another thing that's like, so many people are like, well, I don't know how many reps to do, and I don't know what weight to do, and I don't know this, and I don't know this, so I can't possibly go. Just go and find out how many reps you can do at what weight, get an idea of what your body's capable, and then just go from there.
And
but the last thing you should do is just, like, as I say, analysis paralysis, and use that as an excuse not to go.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like some days, like you'll go and you'll be able to lift 100 kilos 10 times. The other time you won't only do it 8 times, but your body isn't constant. It's going to have peaks. Yeah.
This is the thing that I find, like, I feel like of every, I don't know if I read this or I made this up, but I feel every 5 workouts you do, you'll have one good one, you'll have one bad one, and you'll have 3 average ones.
Yes.
I feel like the 3 average ones are the most important ones.
Yes.
It's really the routine and the consistency. It's consistency that's important, not whether it's a good workout or not.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to get body used to it. But yeah.
And as I say, if you're thinking about showing up to wrestling school, I'd say the bare minimum, I think, is you should be able to do the 100 bodyweight squats, and we don't really do any other. Maybe like a set of 25 push-ups without stopping.
Yeah, so think when we do training, the warm-up is 100 squats, 30 push-ups, and 30 sit-ups.
Yeah.
No, 60, isn't it? Because you do 30, 20, 10. Yeah, 60.
Yeah.
So at least be able to do that and be willing to join a gym. So if they say to you, are you working out? You can at least just go, but I've joined the gym and I'm going.
Yeah. Take those steps.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to take those steps because they're a necessity, really.
And they're easier than you think.
Base level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be like, as we were, intimidating, expecting everybody there to be looking like Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, because they're not, quite frankly. Those are the absolute, AAA bodies at the absolute peak of their fitness in the best promotion, in the biggest promotion, I should say, in the world. So, they're 0.1%.
Exactly.
So very, very few individuals at wrestling school, well, no individuals at wrestling school are going to look like that. So unless they're bodybuilders who decide to become wrestlers, but in which case they probably won't be that good in the ring. So advantage over them in that area. So yes, in short, just get into action and don't overthink it.
Correct.
Just do stuff, in short.
Just do it.
Just do it. Cool. Oh, that's been a fun episode. Let's say, if any aspiring wrestlers do have any questions or stuff they want us to talk about on the show, please give myself or Aiden a message, and we'll bring it up on our next podcast.
Yeah, if you've got any topics you want us to cover, yeah.
Yes, because we're terrible at coming up with topics.
Because I got a message at like 12 o'clock today saying, I haven't got a topic. And I thought, oh, wait, I'm a co-host. I haven't got a topic.
Yeah, we are terrible at planning this. But I feel like if we don't plan it, we actually like we still have great episodes. Just shooting our
Great.
babies. Yeah.
Strong word, but yeah.
I'm got a seat of our pants, so yeah, I enjoy that. Cool. You know what? One last thing I wanted to ask you that I feel like should have been on our best of 2020 episode was best theme tune of 2020. I feel we skipped over music. So
yeah. So does it have to be a theme that came out that year, or can it just be the? Okay, so this will be the only time I will ever get to give this answer because the man retired last year. But Jushin Thunder Liger's theme is fantastic, and
yeah, he's had that forever. Like, I don't think I've ever heard any other version of his theme than the one he was using.
Apart from when he was in NXT.
Oh, I suppose they had to. Yeah.
But yeah, like his retirement thing, they played it at the Tokyo Dome for the last time, and it was like, I wish I was in that building when that went off. But having the privilege of being able to be in York Hall as his music was played is fantastic. And I'm going to say Jushin Thunder Liger because it's great. Yeah. And who about you, sir?
If we're talking, well, I was thinking mostly themes that came out that year that were absolute bangers. I was going to go either both AEW themes, but the Butcher and the Blades theme tune.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. Like, I don't know, because I know the Butcher is the lead guitarist of Every Time I Die, I think.
Yeah, like hardcore band, yeah.
So I don't know if he had a role to play in.
I would assume he was.
Like, you'd think he'd like absolutely want to jump on that opportunity to give his input. So I'd like to think he definitely had input.
Yeah.
God, he's got such a good look as well. There's a wrestler and he wrestles in short trunks. And we're talking about physique, like body types as well. Like, even though he's not a ripped guy, like there's so many bruisers who look good in trunks, and he's one of them. He's got the tattoos and big beard, the big butcher beard.
Yeah, you wouldn't confuse him for another wrestler.
No, he looks great.
That actually is a thing going on Wrestling Looks. Before we finish up, Marty Skrull once said he took this from Matt Groening from The Simpsons. And he said, if you want to stand out in wrestling, have your silhouette be recognizable.
Oh, that's a great quote. Yeah.
So, like, when you see the mask and the hat and the umbrella, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just talking about Jushin Thunder Liger. If you just had, like, his cutout, you'd recognize that mask anywhere.
Yeah, so little things like that. And, like, even someone like Mad Kurt, his cape, like, that silhouette of him and his cape is now becoming recognizable. So, even if you haven't got the best body, something about your look make it so when people say it, they just go, oh, that's so-and-so.
Yeah.
So like when you think of that mustache or that bruiser body, you look at it and you just immediately go, oh, that's Butcher.
Yeah, you want to look distinctive and unique.
Yeah, you don't want to look and go, oh, wait, is that Butcher or is that the Blade? Like, you know which one is which.
Yeah. Yeah, saying that, like, Pac was on a Rev Pro show and I had the opportunity to speak to him for like literally just 2 minutes. I was like, okay, if there's one thing you could advise me as a trainee, what would it be? And he said to me, I'm not even going to try and do his accent, but stand out, because everybody, a lot of wrestlers today look quite similar. So he's like, yeah, make sure you just stand out. And
he's got a great physique.
Oh yeah, we just completely skipped over his physique. Blimey.
And
he's had a hell of a transformation as well from his
hell yeah
Pac, his like jungle Pac days.
He's one of those guys that people always make fun of his facial hair, and it's like, but that's the look he's going for. He's going for
scraggly, like unkempt.
Yeah, and people are like, oh no, it doesn't look good on a poster. It's like, who cares? Because he's money.
First of all, it does, and second of all, like the rest of him certainly does. So who cares?
Yeah.
Like that's like you put Pac on a poster, and he looks great. So yeah, people are crazy.
Yeah.
And the rest of his ring attire looks like complements it really well. He's got short trunks, but he's also got kind of like long boots and long knee pads. So most of his legs are covered up.
Yeah.
But he's also got
works.
those ring things. I don't know what you'd even call them around his biceps, which makes his shoulders look even more massive than they already are.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see it. Maybe I'll add that to my ring attire. I'm sure it'll have the veins pop out. Like if you squeeze it like really tight.
I believe. What's his name? I can't remember his name. New Wave. I can't remember his rest. I don't want to give his shoot name. But yeah, one of the members of the New Wave wore. I think both members of the New Wave actually.
Both of them do.
Yeah. So maybe speak to them because you teamed with them. They might have a spare pair for you.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, going back to what Pac said. He said, "Yeah, make sure you stand out." And that was like 2 weeks before my debut. And what did I debut in? Plain black trunks.
Really you took his advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pac. Oh, that's another. Pac's got a great theme in AEW as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
So yeah, Butcher and the Blade is an absolute banger of a theme tune. Great music to work out to tie that in. And also Eddie Kingston. His AEW theme is fantastic as well. And that came out last year. So yeah, AEW's got a few bangers in their playlist. If you ever want a good workout playlist, just search for AEW theme songs.
I know wrestlers do that.
Oh man, like I'd say like a good 60-70% of my workout playlists are wrestlers theme tunes because they get you pumped up, they get you excited. Yeah. That's basically the purpose of a wrestler's theme tune, is make you go, hey, let's go, woo, woo, woo. So,
when I first started training, the music that played in the wrestling school was in fact wrestling theme tunes.
Perfect, yeah.
They had the Forcible Entry, I think.
Oh,
CD.
That's an absolute banger of an album as well.
Yeah.
That right there is yeah, we need to do a whole episode on wrestling music, but yeah. Cool. Right. Well, let's round this up. We've been prattling on for far too long, as we normally do. Is there anybody? Oh, we want to thank the people that don't sponsor us, Nando's.
Yeah. Please eat at Nando's. If you don't, you're not really eating.
Yes. And yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Ta-ta.
See you later.